My jaw literally dropped. Why they chose this date and time. I would not want these challenges for my own wedding. They have nothing in common. Nothing. I'm going to be really honest with you. It's the only good thing. That's my strongest red flag in this marriage chart. Like, just that alone would be a deal breaker for me. My heart is already breaking. Like, who picked this? Hi, everyone. I cannot wait to do this video with you because I'm going to teach you deeper astrology today. I'm about to show you something absolutely incredible, kind of shocking, kind of surprising, and I'm going to teach you a new method around electional astrology and how to pick the very best date for your event. We're going to look at Taylor and Travis's wedding date. I want to say a caveat really loud right now. I love Taylor Swift. I wish her and Travis nothing but a lifetime of happiness. Happy ever after. But when I looked at the astrology of the wedding, my jaw literally dropped. I was gobsmacked. If they hired a professional electional astrologer, I cannot imagine why they chose this date and time. Why? Why? We're going to go into it and I'm going to show you everything about it. Today, we're going to walk through more than 10 reasons why I would have never in my life for a client have picked this day. Now, I also want to say that Taylor's marriage is not doomed because of this wedding chart. People can influence. They can influence their own lives. Astrology is just the weather pattern, and it's going to show us the challenges that they signed up to learn inside their marriage. And these are just not the challenges I would have ever picked for her. I would not want these challenges for my own wedding or for somebody that I loved or for a client. You know, so many people think that astrology is just studying your birth chart. It isn't. One of astrology's oldest branches is electional astrology, the art, and it is an art and a science, the art of choosing the best possible moment to begin something important. Businesses, contracts, surgery, launching a company, moving into a home, and yes, a marriage. So no chart is perfect. I'm telling you right now, you cannot get a perfect chart. And my students who studied with me in Seattle last year, we did an entire day. We did 5 hours on picking the very best chart for an event, because what that is it is the birth of the union. So that moment in time, you are birthing that moment in time. So this is the birth of their marriage. And we will read this marriage chart just like we would read their natal charts. So I want to tell you, every single election involves compromise. So this is what worst case scenario do you want to deal with? What problem do you want to marry into? What problem do you want to focus on? Financial security, popularity, fame, money, illness, health, wellness, children, family, right? Like what problem do you want to choose? And I'm just going to tell you, there are certain things that almost every single professional electional astrologer tries very hard to avoid. And they put those things that I would avoid loud into their marriage chart. So we're going to go through it, and I'm going to show you the chart. And I've got to tell you a couple things that are very interesting. The one thing that you do in electional astrology is you have to use traditional rules. Now, I'm not going to teach you the whole entire process on how to become an electional astrologer, but I do want to show you the things to observe. And by the way, if you do want an event, if you want an electional astrologer, I can do that for you. I can help you pick the very best time for your event. The thing that you need to know, though, and this is where it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to show you a modern version of this at the very end of this video. So stay all the way through this until the end, and I'll show you the modern technique. But in order to be a really good electional astrology, you have to do traditional astrology. That's different than evolutionary astrology. And I am an evolutionary astrologer who knows traditional methodology, and I can step into the traditional methodology if I want to. I don't usually want to. The only time I use traditional rules is when I'm building an electional chart. That's the only time. And so we're going to use a whole house system. Okay. We're not using Placidus. So change your house system. And guess what else? We are not going to look at the nodes. I know it pains me. It hurts. It makes me cry. We will not be looking at Pluto. We will not be looking at Uranus. We will not be looking at Neptune. Okay. I know. Want. So you only go up until Saturn. And I want to tell you, the wedding chart is the birth of their relationship. Your first meeting chart is going to be your relationship chart. So if you're not yet engaged, you're going to use your first meeting chart to see the challenges and the gifts and the themes in which your relationship is going to bring you. Then you would use your engagement chart as your relationship progresses. Okay. Then you would use your marriage chart, and you will use your marriage chart for the remainder of your marriage. So your marriage chart is forever, for the totality of your relationship. And a wedding chart is one chart. And I want to tell you this, you have to know these rules. Okay. So you're going to use a whole sign house system. You're not going to use Placidus. You're going to use the planets up through Saturn. You're not going to use those outer planets, and you're not going to use the nodes, and you're not going to use Chiron. But wait until you see when I do the modern technique at the very end of this video, and I do incorporate those planets. It gets shocking. Now, I want to tell you the electional chart, we do not work with a bi-wheel. So we do not take the electional chart and put it with Travis, and take the electional chart and put it with Taylor, at least not in the beginning. We only do that if there's sort of like, if we're on the fence, if this is the time in which we want to get married. So if it was kind of like half good, half bad, 50-50, then I would do bi-wheels. But the electional chart, the event, okay, the timing for the event has to stand on its own. It's got to be good on its own without Taylor or Travis inside the story. Okay. So you need a good sun, moon, rising. That's the first thing. You just need good sun, moon, rising. You need a good Venus. Venus and Jupiter are the great benefics. They bring love and luck to the relationship. They bring prosperity and blessings. Mars and Saturn are the great benefics. They bring the problems. They bring the challenges. We don't want a loud Mars. We don't want a loud Saturn. We want loud Venus. We want a loud moon. We want a loud Jupiter. Okay. So I have seen, and I have built, and I have chosen many, many, many amazing wedding charts. And sometimes the relationship didn't work out because we're working with humans and free will. And I've also seen very difficult wedding charts, and the two people worked through it. I like to alleviate problems. And when I sit down with my client, which I'm doing a wedding chart right now for my dear friend Emma, and I'm choosing her wedding date for her son, and I'm so excited about it. And I asked her, what do they want more of? And she's like, well, they kind of have everything they want. And I said, well, what, so I just picked love. I just picked a theme of love and success. And I put joy and happiness at the forefront of their wedding day. I also did that for myself. I'll talk about my own wedding as I show you this chart. You're going to absolutely just be shocked. The thing that baffled me the most is, if this really is the elected wedding chart, there were dozens, maybe hundreds of better moments available to them. So it tells me one of two things happened. Either astrology just was not part of their decision. However, I think it was, because when I started to go into the modern way that I do, that I just double check with my modern evolutionary approach to it, and I do it in a bi-wheel, when you do the tiebreaker and I put it in a bi-wheel, I can kind of see why they chose this date using Travis's chart and using Taylor's chart, but it is weak. And it tells me that if they did use an astrologer, they didn't use an astrologer that is well-versed in electional astrology. They just looked at bi-wheels. They just said, oh, I have a Cancer moon. Okay. So I think if they did use somebody, they used somebody who wasn't like deeply, deeply trained in the rules of electional astrology. Remember, electional astrology is the looking at the transits at that moment that new thing is being birthed. So the moment, the transits that you are incorporating your business, or you're signing the contract, or you're buying the car, or you're creating a celebration of life event, or you're meeting somebody for the first time, or you're in a job interview, or you're buying a home. Okay. I also want to say, this doesn't prove to me that Taylor doesn't believe in astrology. I actually think she does, because she's really deep into symbolism, but they might have had to ignore the astrology by prioritizing their schedules or the venue availability or where they wanted to have it or their family schedules or their privacy or travel or logistics or personal symbolism, right? But they might have had to choose their date for reasons unrelated to the astrology. But if they were using astrology, I would have expected a very different chart. And I will just show you while I'm showing you what they did end up with. If I was Taylor's electional astrologer, oh my God, I would have given her so many more gifts on a different day. I just would have. I care about her and I want her to be happy for the rest of her life. And so I would want to create ease for her and I would want to take away some of the challenges that she might face. Let me first show you the chart. Okay, the first thing you need to know is that I took out all the outer planets, so it looks kind of bleak. I also see over here where it says tropical whole sign, and I put it in New York, New York, because they got married in Manhattan on July 3rd, 2026, 5:30 p.m. We're not looking at Travis's chart and we're not looking at Taylor's. This chart has to stand on its own. This is the birth of their marriage, right? Not their relationship, but their marriage. This overrides their engagement chart and this overrides their first meeting chart. So the first thing I want to show you, and I'm going to show you again, I'm going to show you the modern twist where we will incorporate Chiron in the nodes and Uranus, and we'll see if it helps or makes it worse. But the very first thing that you can see is on the cusp of the seventh house, which is marriage, is Mars. Okay, so Mars is a malefic. And it is what cuts, it is what hurts, and it is war. So why am I putting war in the house of marriage? Mars symbolizes how we manage conflict, what our impatience looks like, what our willpower looks like, what anger looks like, accidents, impulsiveness, confrontation, and it's our volatility. It is also our passion. It's in Gemini. So now we've got people, right? We just have people. We have networking disgruntled with our marriage and our marriage chart. So how are, and the communication and propaganda and the news of our wedding, even the news of our wedding, maybe where we're going to sign our contract, is Mars, irritated, absolutely irritated. They decided to get married on the day before the 4th of July. Okay, the largest American celebration of the year. And 4th of July is big. Every American celebrates it in some way, shape, or form, usually barbecuing in the backyard with their family or going to a fireworks show, right? In the busiest city in the United States of America with the World Cup going on, which, by the way, I found out that 2.1 billion people watch the soccer, the soccer FIFA finale World Cup game. Like 2.1 billion people want to be watching a soccer game, and you're having a wedding at that time. And New York, New Jersey is hosting the games. So there's tons of tourists, right? And there was a heat wave where wearing any amount of clothing is painful in humid, hot New York City. So this was just a wild weekend when people probably really wanted to not wear any makeup, throw their hair in a ponytail, wear shorts, and like swim in the river or barbecue in their backyard. Okay, I'm going to put on a tux and go to a wedding at Madison Square Garden where they had to shut down city blocks, like no small task. And you had to take away from the security that the FIFA games needed and the 4th of July needed and wrap it around Madison Square Garden for your wedding. So yeah, I think Mars in the 7th house, people were probably irritated. I'm imagining because it's Gemini, there were mixed emotions. Like, yes, of course I want to go to Taylor's wedding. Of course, but really it has to be today. So like mixed messaging there. Also, I want to tell you that now forever, she has Mars opposing their marriage. So now we have Mars in an opposition to the face of their relationship. So now I'm Mars opposing. So now I have to be on probably an offense or a defense around my marriage. And I just would never, ever put Mars on an angle. The angles are right here, the fourth house, the seventh house, the 10th house, or the first house. The only worse place for Mars would be the first house. But why you would put this planet of anger, war, hostility, defense, offense, in the seventh house. So now Travis, in his vows, he said, I will protect Taylor for the rest of her life. Yes, he will. Why? Because Mars is there. Now he is the bodyguard, right? And of course, that's his nature and that's his personality anyway. But I probably would have put the moon or Venus there. Like, just live in your love. You don't have to have eyes in the back of your head, mace and a crowbar everywhere you go. Well, now you might. Now you might. Now you need to walk around like the big bear everywhere you go. Don't let your guard down, right? Mars in the seventh house. I would have picked Venus there, serenity. Okay, the next thing that I want to show you is right here, an Aquarius moon. I don't know if you guys saw. Look at that, the Aquarius moon in the third house of the spoken word and the voice. And this is also Gemini's house. So this is also like publicity and what people think of you and how you use your voice and how you talk. I like having the moon in the third house, but in Aquarius, double air now there's detachment, now there's aloofness, now there's autonomy, now there's independence. And I don't know if you guys saw my video on the Aquarius moon, but I really hope that you did. And one of the things I have come to learn after doing more than 85,000 personal readings, I stopped counting 7 years ago, so it's probably now like at 120, is that I think the Aquarius moon is the single most challenging moon out of all 12 moon signs. It doesn't mean I don't love you, Aquarius moons. I give you guys a lot of credit, but it is difficult. It's difficult because it's objective and it's detached. And the moon is where we want to be loved. And I don't know about you, but if I'm really in grief, if I am grief stricken and I don't know, I just had a death. I just had the worst death in my family. Let's just say my cat passed away. Let's just say I really don't want to hear your gosh darn objectivity. I want you to be in my grief and in my misery with me. And I want you to be my misery comrade, right? And I want you to wear my pain on just tattooed on your chest with me. I don't want your strategy around my grief. I don't want your objective, Excel spreadsheet. I don't want your formula on how I should be getting over this hurt that I have. No, I want you to be in the blood and the tears with me. And so I think the moon is arguably in an electional chart for a wedding, the single most important planet in electional astrology, because it's going to represent the emotional climate and the nourishment. How are you going to nourish my heart? How am I going to nourish your heart? It is going to represent our emotional connection. And it's in the house of networking and people and disseminating information. No wonder why she made everybody, including her parents and his parents, sign a non-disclosure agreement. And the Aquarius moon is detached, objective, independent, intellectual. So now we're going to intellectualize and we're going to strategize our relationship and the expression of our heart. And it's freedom loving. Those qualities are wonderful for innovation and humanitarian work. And if I was building the new iPhone, okay. And friendship, platonic relationship, absolutely. Okay. And even like if you had big decisions to make inside a large organization or selling a stock, yes, give me a strategic intellectual moon. But my God, why did they not pick a Taurus moon day? Please, it's a Cancer Sunday. Why did they not pick a Taurus moon? I chose to get married on a Cancer Sunday with a Taurus moon. There is nothing more nurturing. And one of the things I will say, one of the greatest values inside my relationship with my husband is we both very easily, very effortlessly forgive one another because we love each other so much. And it is symbolized in our chart. Or like they could have picked a Cancer moon. okay, if you want to pick a Libra moon, I know it's square to Cancer, but I'd even go with that over this. And a Pisces moon would have been gorgeous. So, because those are the signs that support emotional bonding. And I want you guys to watch my Aquarius moon videos. If you are an Aquarius moon, tell me if you struggle with expressing your emotions or with connecting or with having felt like you received the kind of love that you wanted to receive when you were little. Did your mom and dad like really, really invest in you in an emotional way, or did they set you up intellectually, to win at life? So I'm not trying to diss the Aquarius moon. It can work if it's in harmony with other things in the chart. But it's not even in harmony really with the rising sign because it is so, so late. And it's in a quincunx aspect to the sun. So it doesn't work real well. I mean, it works by sign to the very fiery and independent Sagittarius. So it gives more independence and autonomy and individuated freedom and rebellion, the ability to like blaze my own trail and do my own thing and go my own way and to be self-sufficient and self-nurturing. And I can do me real well. But does that sound like a marriage wedding union to you? And then the Cancer sun wants to bond. So the Cancer sun and Aquarius, the reason why they're in quincunx to one another is because they have nothing in common. Nothing. They don't have the same element, water and air. They don't have the same modality, okay? Cardinal and fixed. They don't have anything in common. So that's what creates a quincunx. The next thing that I want to say is with this moon, it's a good time to tell you about it. It's void of course. And it was void of course all day from 10:30 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. So what is a void of course moon? Well, please on my channel, go watch my void of course moon. This is probably, all of these problems are big. Like I would never in my life pick a wedding chart with Mars on the 7th house cusp, but I would never get married under a void of course moon. Like never. So those are deal breakers for me. Just those two things, I want to pick this chart. So this is maybe one of my very biggest electional concerns. And it's like electional textbook. It's electional textbook. So the void of course moon, long story down, boiled down to one potato for you, means nothing happens. What it means technically is it will not complete another major applying aspect before leaving this sign. And it usually happens at the end, at the very end of a moon sign. So you can see right here that the moon is at 25 degrees Aquarius. There's only 29:59. So we're very close to the end. It's about to change signs. Why didn't they wait? The very next day, they could have had a Pisces moon. Well, that would have been the 4th of July. So that wouldn't work, probably. It is opposing Venus. But the moon is at 25 and Venus is at 23. So it's already hit the opposition and now it's pulling away from Venus. We don't want to pull away from Venus. Venus is your love source. That's a different conversation. But this moon is not making an aspect, a major aspect, a quincunx aspect. So now Mercury at 25 degrees Cancer and the moon at 25 degrees Aquarius, it's hard for me to speak my feelings. The head and the heart now have nothing in common in this marriage chart. So now it's awkward. So that's the only aspect it's making, and it's not considered major. And so nothing, literally the traditional text with a void of course moon. Again, I want you guys to understand void of course moons, and you can get my void of course moon report. But in my shop, and if you can't find it, just write to us at teamsoulnavigation@gmail.com and we'll help you find it. But it literally means nothing will come of this matter. So I just basically made my wedding void, vacant, empty, hollow. And I wonder if it was. It was at Madison Square Garden. What the heck? That is an arena where they play hockey and basketball. That's like the most famous sports arena. I know she made it into a fantasy world, and I think she did it in an amazing job. We'll talk about that in a minute. Venus and Leo. But A void of course moon is never a time to sign a contract. And it's when you're supposed to sleep and meditate and take a bubble bath and rest and relax and write in your journal and sip your hot tea and sit by a fireplace, right? And I bet you a lot of the guests wanted to do nothing. The last thing they wanted to do was put on nylons and high heels. The void of course moon is the antithesis to high heels, nylons, and getting dressed up. So I would have tried to select a chart where the moon is actively applying to the sun, to a better Mercury, a Mercury trine, a Mercury sextile. Even if I did have to have an opposition, I wouldn't even choose the opposition to Venus, to tell you the truth. I really like getting the moon and Jupiter to talk to one another because it will make the moon expand. Let's talk about the moon opposing Venus, okay? Venus represents your creativity, love, affection, romance, harmony, pleasure, partnership, what you desire, everything sweet. And now you have my heart opposing that. So when my heart is feeling independent and autonomous, right, and kind of detached and objective, it's not fulfilling my Leo desires. And the moon represents, as we talked about, the emotional needs. And so when the planets oppose one another, there can be the tension between what I need, the moon, and what I want, what I need to feel nurtured and what I want. So I'm not getting what I'm not getting what I need, and I'm probably not getting what I want. And so I think one of them could feel like their feelings getting hurt because what fills up a Venus in Leo, I'm a superstar, doesn't necessarily fill the heart that wants nurturing. What it suggests is that the emotional and relationship needs may not naturally flow together. Okay, let's talk about Saturn at 14 degrees. Saturn at 14 degrees in the fifth house. Okay, well, this kind of breaks my heart. You know, the fifth house is the house of children, the house of joy. And so we have burdens, the planet of burdens, karmic lessons, and responsibility, and depression, oppression, suppression, and oppression in the house of joy, romance, creativity, children, celebration, the actual wedding is the fifth house, the house of happiness, joy, fun. The fifth house and the ninth house are the happy houses of the chart. And the fifth house probably beats the ninth house. The second house, it's a close tie. It's like 49-51. Okay, that 49% ninth house, 51% fifth house. Did I say that right? Yeah, 51%. So this is the house of dating. This is also the house of being on stage. This is also the house of sports, arenas, championships. This is the house of FIFA. This is the house of concerts. This is anything that a stadium where you would play at, a circus, a stadium, a concert, a game. This is poker to football, right? This is sports arenas. And the wedding is literally a fifth house event. Why am I putting Saturn there? Why am I putting the heaviness, the plight, the angst, the thing, you know, the place in my chart where I have to like eat glass for breakfast in order to learn my lessons? Why am I doing that? And it just, my heart is already breaking. Like, who picked this? Oh God, knowledge is painful sometimes. Look at what it's doing to the sun. So you have Saturn at 14 degrees Aries in a square to an 11 degree. It's a pretty tight square to the sun. So now I'm insecure. Now I'm not fully confident. And now my relationship is taxed and burdensome. It's difficult. It's difficult to manage. I do think Travis is probably on his way to retiring sooner than Taylor, but just because one is a physical and the other is, well, they're both kind of physical, right? Like her Eros tour was physical and demanding and grueling, but you can only play football so long, right? So why am I giving up this part of my life for the marriage? And do I resent maybe having a burden? It's like Tom Brady. Do I have resentments now that I've got Saturn? Saturn takes things away. It grows you up and it will make you mature, and it is quite loyal. Okay. Okay, but it's squaring the sun, which is the soul of the marriage. Are you guys dying with me? Tell me, are you here with me? Are you here? Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? Do you guys see this? Do I think they're going to last? Please go watch the video that I did when they first got together. And I did this whole Taylor and Travis soulmates video. Okay, here's the video that I want you to see right here. This is my video, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, Astrology, Past Life Together, Next Life Together, Soulmates. This video is really, really good, and it will show you in depth the modern version of their charts. And I do think they are soulmates, and I do really believe that they will be okay. But why are we borrowing problems when we have enough? They have enough just because their lives are complicated and complex. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so my next issue here is there's 2 houses in electional astrology, really 3, that you do not want to put the sun in. And that is the 6th house. Why? That's a quincunx. Again, it means nothing in common. So the quincunx relationships are exactly like they sound: awkward, weird, hard to manage, hard to navigate. They have no support system at all. So it's like me living in modern American culture on the West Coast, and I'm trying to be involved with somebody from like ancient Mongolia from 500 years ago. Right? Like nothing in common. Could we figure it out? Yes. But why do we want to? Right? Why? I just want you to already know about avocado toast and the health benefits of olive oil. Right? That's the 6th house. That's the 8th house. These are quincunxes, and the 12th house. And the 12th house, because it is considered in traditional astrology the house of loss. In traditional astrology, the 8th house is considered the house of loss, death, destruction, divorce, taxes, mutual inheritances. So I get your money, you get my money. Oh, yay. Like they need more of that. That's the last thing they need. That is the last thing they need more of. Like give them more love, give them more privacy, give them more sanctuary, give them tranquility, give them more artistry, give them more confidence. Okay, 8th house, the sun, the soul, and the Mercury, and their mind, the way they express themselves and communicate, is in the house of death, destruction, divorce, loss, taxes, but mutual resources and inheritance. And the 6th house is the house of illness. So they don't have anything there. Okay, now we've got to talk quickly about this Mercury in retrograde right here. So for a wedding day, for any kind of electional astrology, especially if you're signing a contract, buying a house, a car, selling your home, opening up a new business, I would never pick a Mercury in retrograde. Why? Because it's going to be there permanently forever now. So there you have that Mercury in retrograde. Yes. And by the way, Mercury rules communication. So their communication is going to be lovely. It's going to be in Cancer. It's going to be supportive, compassionate, empathetic, nurturing. And this is showing us that they're conflict avoidant because it's in Cancer. Mercury in Cancer is lovely. It's kind. It thinks about the other person. It puts the other person first. You sacrifice your own wants and desires sometimes with a Mercury in Cancer. And Mercury rules also how we're going to travel in short distances, on short distance trips. So we're probably going to have a lot of security and privacy and probably bodyguards with that, to tell you the truth. So it's the way we communicate, the way we talk to one another, our agreements, our contracts, our understanding of one another. And that's lovely. And that's lovely for a union, but not with Mercury in retrograde. And if you guys haven't seen my Mercury in retrograde video, please, please, please go watch it. It's old but relevant. It's really, really good. And I go deep, deep into what does it mean. But Mercury in retrograde is about revisions. It's about revising, redoing, reworking, rewiring, regenerating. That part's good. Returning to old issues, returning to old ways. And when Mercury's in retrograde, there are misunderstandings. You are misunderstood. I might be saying something like, oh, you're wearing a blue sweater. What? Why? You don't like it? Am I not supposed to? It puts people on defense, right? And there are delays, there are mishaps. And so there's just this rule to widely known to not choose a day when Mercury is in retrograde. Now, the other thing that's interesting is it's also in the eighth house, which can have psychological transformation. But now we're going to be working and talking about the crisis in our life, the challenges in our life, the deaths in our life. Deaths are just divorces, goodbyes, However, this can be, let's learn about the occult. Let's learn about the mysticism. Let's learn about the things that are hidden. Let's get deep. So this will deepen them. But why are we putting these major planets, right, in the house of death and we're putting Saturn in the house of joy and children? And there are so many places I would put this Mercury and this Sun if I could. The first house, the fourth house, the seventh house, the 10th house, right? And I would leave that eighth house vacant if I could. I do want to tell you that I think they did probably consult an astrologer because this Jupiter at 0 degrees is in perfect harmony with Sagittarius rising. And Sagittarius rising's chart ruler, the entire chart ruler, the engine of the chart, is Jupiter at 0 degrees Leo. And so this tells me that I think they did use an electional astrologer who just did not go deep enough into the different layers that make up the entire day. Jupiter at 0 degrees Leo, who doesn't want a Santa Claus heart in the house of joy? Like, yay, yippee, yahoo. But this chart ruler cannot stand alone all by itself. Yes, it is the best thing. I'm going to be really honest with you. It's the only good thing. It's the only good thing. And all of this difficulty cannot just sit. It can't survive just a beautiful, fabulous. There is nothing better than a 0 degree Jupiter in Leo in the ninth house. That is so damn good. And it is in perfect harmony, as you can see with the rising sign. It's perfect. And it's going to bring generosity and big love and big pageantry and power couple and kings and queens. And our belief system is in alignment. And we share family values, political values, human values, right? Like all of our beliefs are probably in alignment, but we are a power couple. There's two royal planets in the zodiac, and that is Leo and Sagittarius. And they both have them prominent. So now they're in the billionaires club, right? Publicly. We all knew that. But now we're going to live a life and we're going to be the expression. We're going to be the quintessential expression of this most powerful couple. And why? Because it's our rising sign, it's our face, and the ruler of our face is the other royal sign in the biggest planet there is, Jupiter, and in the ruler of our chart. So now we are just this glorious royal couple wearing crowns and standing and basking in the regality of our pageantry and our life and ad nauseum, right? The downfall of all that is the optics, and it is optics when you're working with the rising sign of royalty. And I think there was a little bit of a problem with that. They gave away Chanel handbags and Rolex watches out of raffles. People put their name in a hat or something, or bought a ticket to support a charity or something. There is a great deal of generosity for the world. And there is diversity and multiculturalism with this ninth house, like people of different cultures, people of different backgrounds, coming together. And that is really lovely. And that's probably going to expand. There might even be an element of great humanitarianism with that ninth house full with two benefics and the third house having the Aquarius moon. So these people could actually really go out into the world and try to change it for the betterment of themselves, of other people, and of society. That's the best thing about their chart. And for that, I really love that. But that Jupiter is what? Forever connected with Mercury in retrograde because it's conjunct. So now Jupiter is a little bit awkward. And I do like Venus in the ninth house. I love that. Who doesn't? But it's opposing the moon. So we have Virgo, the planet of very hard work, ruling their house of fame and fortune. I think they will be in devotion to their careers, and they will be of service, and their legacy could be remembered as humbly in servitude towards each other, and our legacies could be remembered for the service in which they did do. And I like seeing that, and I hope that that does play out. But let me show you something interesting. Now I'm going to make this modern. Okay, I like to do this only as like okay, this was so awful. This was so challenging. This was like so shell shocking. Maybe if I put the modern evolutionary planets into play, maybe it makes it better. Okay. So I want to just put a little extra frosting on this cake. I'm going to go check it out. Well, now, look at this. Pluto is now opposing Jupiter. Pluto is opposing Jupiter. So now all that grandness that I talked about, now I have the planet of our psychological wound, the planet of death and transformation, is meeting the planet of expansion. Jupiter expands whatever it touches, and Pluto intensifies, transforms, and can bring struggles over control and influence. And there's an opposition here. So in a relationship chart, this symbolism is showing us now there's different philosophies, psychologies. Now there's like control over ambition, money, finances, influence, and shared resources are going to require navigation. It could be power struggles, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. But it is going to amplify who's in control of us, who is in power of us. Is her dad going to still be her manager? Who's going to be their auditor? Who's like Prince? You know, he had all that money embezzled. Who's going to manage our finances? Your guy or my guy, right? So who's going to handle us, and are they going to be thoughtful? Okay, the next thing, if we were to look at the nodes, and this is going outside of the electional traditional rules. I just do this for my own self to take a peek to see if the story, I'm leaving it in the whole sign house system though. I'm not changing that to Placidus. I could, and the thing that happens when I change this to Placidus, there's only one thing that happens, and that is Saturn moves into the fourth house of family. Yeah, which I don't love, as you can imagine. I think they will be loyal to one another. I don't see this as an affair chart. But now look at this. The worst aspect that you guys, did you watch my 10 worst aspects in astrology? Part 1, part 2, and part 3. Yeah. Mars and Uranus together, it happens once or 2 years. Not every year usually, but once it goes like once every year for 2 years in a row, then it takes a pause. And okay. Anyways, there's plenty of dates that you can choose without a Mars Uranus conjunction. Now we have instability and volatility and surprises. And now we're accident prone. And now we have, freedom loving. And now we have more of the Aquarius moon aspect, but it's on Mars. Okay. And we get a sextile to Pluto. That's helpful, but not really. These are 3 malefics. I really don't even want them loudly in the chart anywhere. And now you just made them super, super loud. And Uranus on Mars is making that Mars, that's my strongest red flag in this marriage chart. Like just that alone would be a deal breaker for me. Jupiter in Leo cannot compete with a Mars conjunct Uranus. So it creates an explosiveness. It's lightning in a bottle. It's difficult to stabilize. It's prone to like reversing course, and it creates inconsistency, and it creates instability and rebelliousness, if you will. The next thing is now I have my south node wide, but on Venus. And now I have the south node. I have the south node ruling my house of my legacy and my career. And that south node conjunct Venus, it's almost like, am I going to grow up, or am I going to just stay kind of a teenager? Am I just going to stay in my stunted 8th grade, mentality? Because it's like that south node on Venus is like love, past life love. Yeah. But it's like, I already got the t-shirt, been there, done that. I don't know if I truly, truly grow, right? It kind of depletes me. It's old karma. It's familiar old patterns. It's childlike desires in love, right? It's the familiar patterns. So does my Venus really, really get to grow? Does it get to grow? It suggests that love is tied to old patterns rather than future growth. And a lot of electional astrologers, if they do work with the nodes, I recommend using the traditional. Definitely the traditional is stronger, but you can see if a pattern is repeated inside a modern technique, if it repeats the traditional technique, you know it's true. But if the modern approach, the modern take on this made the traditional so much better, okay, then I would like that. It would give me more possibilities, I would say. I would place Venus on the north node or on an angle, but not on the south node. It's like exhausting. And there might be public exhaustion. With the south node in the 10th house, it's now how I'm seen out there in the world is south node. Like I'm never growing up. I'm not maturing. I'm not in my wisdom. I'm old fashioned. I'm stuck in time. My growth is stunted. And we have Chiron in that. It's straddling the 6th house. It's straddling the 6th and the 7th house, the daily routine. I would put Chiron in the 6th house, to tell you the truth. But that can be workaholicism and burnout, better than it being in the 5th house. Oh my God, please, don't put anything else in that 5th house. Let's get Saturn out of there, out of that 5th house. The north node wide on the moon. Okay, maybe, and it's in Pisces, and the north node in the 4th house. I do kind of like that north node in Pisces, but its ruler is in quincunx to it, and it's squaring the rising sign. So it's not that happy. I'm just going to show you really quickly here. The reason why I think she worked with an astrologer is that day, you can see in the bi-wheel on the outside, this is the wedding day. That wedding day does sit on her Jupiter, and it's wide, it's 10 degrees wide, but that sun sits on her Cancer moon. She also has Sagittarius in the 1st house, and she picked Sagittarius rising. But look, we get a Venus south node again. So we've got some real problems with this as well. But I think she picked it because she probably thought that Cancer day was going to be so great for her moon. So for him, we've got the moon on his north node. Okay, but now he's got Mars rising. So that Mars Uranus in the wedding chart is sitting on his rising sign. What the hell? Did we even consider him? Did we consider him? And we have the Venus south node, but he has a Sag moon. So I think that's why they chose it, because he has the Sagittarius moon. So they did Sagittarius. They were accommodating their moon signs. And you know what? Maybe they were their own astrologers. Maybe they felt like, I know astrology well enough. Let's make the rising sign on your moon, and let's make the sun sign on my moon. Oh, it's so fabulous. No, it's not. And you guys, the electional chart has to stand on its own. Are you having fun? Oh my gosh. Soon we are going to have my electional astrology workshop in the shop. But in the meantime, if you want to get your lovers package, I really recommend it at shopsoulnavigation.com. Please like, subscribe, and also push this video out for the algorithm. I would be so grateful. I have to sign off now, but wherever you are in the world, I hope you are doing so well. And I want you to take good care. And I am going to hold Travis and Taylor in my heart for a happily ever after life. Take good care. Bye for now.